Okay, guys, I've got asked a couple questions, and I kind of been thinking about this myself before I even got asked, because I guess if I'm gonna make some videos, they better probably make sense to people that might not know. And that's okay if you don't know, because we're all there at some point in our time, right? And there's still things that I learn every day. So I got asked specifically about the front angle on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Simpsons cabinet, on the front angle on the control panel. And I said that it was 35.8 degrees. It is 35.8 degrees because it says so in the manual. And you can see that my marker's just at 35 or hair past it. So, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but I say 35.8 degrees because that's what it is. So you might ask me how, if you didn't have a gauge on your saw, for say, or it was banged up or messed up, how would you do this? Well, if you have the original angle, what I did here is, give me a second because I'm going to put you on a tripod so I can use both my hands. Okay, bear with me, guys. So here's your fence. When you set the fence towards and away from your blade, we'll set this flat groove right here. Let me see if I can get it right. There's a flat groove. It's cut at an angle, and then the flat groove is, or the flat part is still left on the control panel. See how it's flat? The closer you are to the blade, the thinner this will be. The farther away, the thicker that flat spot will be. So you can take your piece, your original control panel, and lay it right on the blade like that. Of course, you're going to have to hold it because it's real tall. But this is just for purpose here. You can see my teeth of my blade is just coming out of the wood. That's ensures you'll cut all the way through it. And then you would take that, once you adjust your blade angle, okay, and then you just bring your fence right up to it and latch it down, and then find yourself a 3/4 piece of wood and run it through here. And compare the two together, side by side. And if it looks like you're happy with it, then go with it, because that's what I did. Now, I got asked some questions about a router, so I'm going to get my router stuff gathered up so I can make a small clip on that. Okay. So here is my template that I designed for making Ninja Turtle and Simpsons control panels. So I kind of touched on the way to get your front angle up here on the front. Now I was asked some questions about my router bits. So to me, it don't matter what you have. If it spins in a circle, then it'll do the job. Yes, higher brand tools are, well, you get what you pay for, but you know, cheap stuff still works too. So these are router bits. This is I'll try to explain this, so bear with me. I'm not the greatest teacher, okay? So let's just say that this bottom piece is what you want to make something out of. And this top piece is a blank piece of wood, and it's just overhanging right here all the way around whatever you're wanting to cut out. You would chuck this in your router, sort of like a drill bit. I mean, it's same principle. And you would set the depth of your bit, because you want your bit bearing to be down here on your piece, okay, the piece that you're tracing. And then you basically would start it up, bring it in cutting until it's gonna stop on this bottom piece of wood, and then you're just gonna run it along, and it's gonna duplicate whatever, right up whatever it's against. Okay, so 1/4 inch shank, and this is a pattern bit, that's what I call it. It has the bearing on the bottom. Now you may ask me, well, how are you carving out this pocket right here? Well, here is my pattern. You can see that it's just completely open. Then you screw it down to your board here so it can't move, right? Because you don't want it to move, or you know, it's not gonna cut the same because it'll be moving. Still 1/4 inch shank, and you got this cutter. The bearing's at the top. Now that bearing will allow you to cut down into this wood. Here, let's go over here. Let's cut down in, and this bearing will ride along in here. Now let's say you only wanted to cut this down in a tiny bit, just 1/8 of an inch. Well, you'd have to get a bit just like this, but this cutter piece is a lot shorter. Or if you needed to cut down 3 inches deep into something from this pattern, then you'd have to get one with a lot longer cutter, because your bearing has to ride within your pattern. So if it's too deep, you need a shorter one, and if it's too shallow, you have to get a longer one. Okay, so that's the two different kinds of pattern bits that I have used, is these two. One that will trace your bottom as a pattern, and one that will trace your top as a pattern. And the ones that use the bearing at the top, they're sort of like a mill bit too. That's how it cuts the flat spot. So alright, hold on guys, I think there's a coyote outside. Okay, so I don't know what it was. It made a screeching sound enough to make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. It was the second time I heard it. First time I thought it was my girls screaming from the house, but apparently it wasn't them, so I don't know. So I don't know how all routers are, but for this one here, you can move this a lot and fine tune it with this. So you gotta imagine any bit in here. If you're wanting to adjust the depth that it's running, you would do it just by sliding up and down this here. See, and then it's fine-tuned with this screw, 64th at a time. What is it, 3/64ths of an inch per turn on here? So that's pretty fine, pretty minute. So this is your slot cutter. Your bearings right here. Well, normally they're on this side, and the slot cutter is up against this shank right here. But you can see I wedged a nut between here, then the bearing, then the cutter, then the nut that keeps everything on. I did that for the Mortal Kombat, so when I ran it down the edge of the cabinet, you know, that has that protruded piece that comes out for the front, that this shank wasn't digging into the side of it. Just, I guess, one of my hacks that I've learned from doing things. What other tools would I recommend for doing cabinet work? It depends on, I guess for arcade machines, I would recommend a nice palm sander, the one that I call a mouse sander, and no, it is by far not a nice one, but it works, and it was cheap, and if this one ever breaks down, I will invest in a little bit better one. We all do what we can do with what we have, right? Another thing I would suggest would be an orbital sander, sort of one like this, because these son of a bitches run. I like the 6-inch hook and loop. It's just basically Velcro, if you didn't know. You can buy 100 of these discs on eBay for like 25 bucks. Are they as nice as the name brand ones? No. But I'm getting 100 of them. And they do work. So, the wood shop that my mom and dad used to work at, all of their sanders were like this. Well, they were Milwaukee's, but you get the point. Obviously, cordless drill would be nice. Cheap wood clamps, table saw. I mean, you can pick these up off Facebook Marketplace. This exact saw, I think this exact saw, after my other one burned up, I paid $80 for this, maybe. So, I mean, it's not horribly expensive. Let's see, what else do I use? I have a radial arm saw. I mean, you don't need that, though. Circular saw comes in handy. You can get a jigsaw, a belt sander. There's another piece that I want to find to show you guys. Okay, I can't find it. I may have loaned it out. But it is a fence, just like this. It's aluminum, and it's about 4 feet long, and you can adjust it to fit on anything up to like 4 feet. And it basically has clips on like this, and you clamp it down to your wood where you want it to be, and you can run your circular saw base right up against it, and it'll make a straight as an arrow cut, just like a table saw. I am going to go online and find one, and then I'll come back on the screen recorder and with the picture so I can explain it. How about that? It's in a bit of disarray, but this just came in handy, a sandblasting cabinet, when you know, you're doing little metal parts and stuff like that. It makes it nice painting the steel that's been, you know, cleaned with one of these. Okay guys, so Mine was from Harbor Freight. I'm sure there's better ones out there, but this is what it was. You could adjust it from a few inches to up to 50 inches. And you'd clamp it to the sides of the wood, and then you would run your just like that picture. I can't think right now, but you would use it just like that, and man, you could make an arrow straight cut, just like on a circular or on a table. The only pain in the ass part about it is you have to allow the room right there between the blade and the outer fence right here. It works. It'll make a straight cut, but it's a pain in the ass with the measurements. And for the price that this fence costs, and the price that you can pick up a used circular or a table saw, I would just go with a table saw. But anyways, I can say that because I had an extra table saw that you can see I put an extra table on, guys. I had an old junk table saw that I tore all of this out, and I just had this table and I bolted them together. So my table saw is a bit longer than what this is by itself. So if you're going to be cutting 3-foot sections, that fence does help out. Another thing that I like using when I'm building part of a cabinet or whatever is, you know, some air staples. Staple that staples these kind of staples. You know, this was used for Contra control panel. When you fold the overlay underneath, and you got to staple it to the wood. So you can get all kinds of different size staples and brads and pin nailers. Once again, these are from Harbor Freight. They're $25 or less a piece, and I've never had any problems with them. And this here, guys, my bar sander, as I always call it, cheap block sander. You can get rolls of sandpaper. So this makes it nice when you want to, well, you want to make stuff flat and blend in with each other. So, you know, when you're sanding this large across a piece of wood, it tends to get a little bit more flat than a palm sander. They also have these in the air version. Clamps work nice. That's about all I use. Square, you know, level. Yeah, I can use for straight edges when I'm drawing lines. Those help out. That's about all I use, guys. I hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, or you think I didn't spend enough time on, you want to know something a little bit more in depth that I may have skipped over, ask me. I'll help you. Alright, well, like and subscribe, shit like that. Alright, peace.